Also joining us now, Republican candidate for the presidency, John Kasich, governor of Ohio. Governor, welcome to the program. Good to see you.
Thanks, Stuart. And by the way, let me just amplify what the congressman just said. I mean, the president was extremely passionate on this issue of refugees. You know, no one has ever accused me of not having a big heart. I have, it's been a criticism of me. He cares so much about so many people. Look, there is no way that we can put any of our people at risk by bringing people in at this point. You asked the question, should anybody come in here before the end of the year? The answer to that should be no. We cannot jeopardize our people. And so it's not just the issue of the heart, it's also an issue of the head. And so I hope that perhaps the Congress can get involved in this and to say, we're not going to do this. We cannot let people in here unless we know clearly who they are.
The governors of Alabama and Michigan have today, or maybe late yesterday, they have said, not in our states. We will not have these migrants coming into our state. So I guess the question is, immigration is now front and center in the presidential election. And the status of Muslim refugees who want to come here, that is going to be a huge bone of contention for this presidential election and the campaign.
Well, Stuart, I think we really ought to be pretty unanimous on all sides that we cannot put ourselves at more risk than we already find ourselves at this point. And hopefully cooler heads will prevail.
But we're not.
Let me also
President Obama and I believe Hillary Clinton and certainly Bernie Sanders, they're not calling for limits on Muslim refugees coming into this country. They're not.
Well, I'm not sure that would be true today, Stuart. And if they are, then they're going to be drowned out, because this is not a matter of compassion. This is not a matter of the heart. This is a matter of judgment and concern about our people inside the United States of America. It's about our families. It's about our neighborhoods. It's about our communities. So let me be clear. There should be nothing done on this, no more entry into this country at this point in time until a significant amount of time has been invested in who these people are. And if we can't determine who they are, then they can't come in. It's just that simple.
Now,
let me also, Stuart.
Yes, sir.
Let me also comment here, because there are a variety of things the United States should be doing. I think the president should have insisted that Article 5 be instituted, where an attack on one NATO ally is an attack on all of us. I believe that the no-fly zone should be established in Syria, both on the Turkish border and the Jordanian border. The president said, well, who would defend it on the ground? Well, the Kurds, the Jordanians have the capability to do that, and we can defend it from the air. In addition to that, we've got to make sure that the Kurds have all that they need, because they've been an effective fighting force against ISIS. And finally, we ought to have a coalition, not only to do joint intelligence, but joint military missions to take this war to ISIS, including, if it is necessary and will be necessary, to put U.S. boots on the ground. The coalition ought to not only include the NATO allies, but also our people who have common interests with us, who are located in the Middle East, such as the Jordanians and, of course, the Saudis.
Now, there's some criticism being leveled at Republicans and people in the media that we have politicized the events in Paris on Friday night, and that we should not be doing that. Your comment on that?
Well, Friday night I was in New Hampshire, Stuart, and I said a prayer for all the people in France. But in addition to that, in the Iowa State Fair at the Iowa Soapbox, where candidates go, I talked about this issue. I talked about ISIS. I talked about the fact that this is really an attack on Western civilization, the Western ethic. And I have been talking about this for a long time, not just in terms of the standpoint of military activity, but also the battle of ideas, which we are failing to conduct. Look, I don't know who these folks are or what they're saying, but I've handled myself very responsibly with significant ideas and significant programs. I'm one of the first to suggest the no-fly zone. I am the first to suggest that we invoke Article 5. This is a deadly serious matter, and people have to speak out. We can't be silent on this, but Bombast is not the order of the day.
Okay.
Steady, firm, tough, and committed.
I've got 20 seconds left, Governor. I want to ask, what would your response have been to that question from the young man who stood up and asked the president, why can't we take these bastards out? If that question were asked to you, I realize it's a different situation. What would you have said?
Well, we can. We have to go as a group of people, and we have to destroy them where they are. Period. End of story. And then we have to engage in the war of ideas, because once this group is knocked down, other will spring up. But at the end of the day, the world does not honor savagery. The world honors the rule of law, right to determination, the rights of women. That's where this world is, and we got to engage in both. Bullets on the battlefield, winning the war of ideas. Both can be done and must be done if we are going to be strengthened, and America has to lead, Stuart. Period. End of story.
Governor John Kasich, Ohio, thank you very much for joining us on a difficult day, Governor. We appreciate it, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Stuart.